would say I'm perceived pretty well. I've never felt like a disadvantage from being like a girl or anything like that.
Sometimes I feel like I'll be working, like just all my classes are like men, and then it was more so, it's harder now because it's not in person, but I remember last year it was it was a lot of men, and I just felt not as I just felt like if I was in their group, they were like impressed by that I actually knew what I was talking about or knew what I was doing, because it's just such a male dominated industry.
Being in sort of engineering in general or in engineering classes, there was always this feeling of like, there's sort of a standard, like an invisible standard that sometimes I think you feel like you're not meeting unless you are doing perfectly. So I wasn't failing out of any classes. I was getting B's and C's in most of the things I was doing. But getting B's and C's rather than getting A's and being perfect made me feel so inferior within the engineering sort of classes. So like physics, calc, coding stuff that was like supplementary to the major was like, okay, well, I shouldn't feel bad about my position. I'm doing fine. I'm on par with other people. But because I can't prove that I'm, the like model student, I always felt like I wasn't being respected enough.
If I think I have to like do more to be a good student, but I feel like girls naturally just try to like impress more. So I feel like we end up doing more just because we want to be seen because guys are so prominent. So I feel like we end up doing more even if it's not expected of us, just to like kind of prove that we can do it.
In a college setting, I don't think so, because especially at CU Boulder, we're big on gender equality and making sure that everybody gets the same opportunity. But I can definitely see how there could be issues in the workforce and in the finance and economics field.
I think the nature of the issue of like feeling like you have to be sort of like a model student to get the respect that you would get as an average student in another field comes from how competitive some of those majors are just in general. I mean, even the introductory classes in physics and like comp sci or weed out classes where they don't really want everybody to pass. They do want people to fail out. They want less people in the department. Or, maybe they don't say that up front, but since it's such a competitive field, they want to raise the bar right away so that people only stick with it if they, are excelling.
I think that's a matter of an experience I can't have. It is different, obviously, and I think that it could be not as prevalent for males to see it happening in a way, because it personally wouldn't have affected us at the time. And I think unless it's very blatant, it is a lot harder for males to kind of understand that there could be slights between genders.
And I don't think it was by the fault of any of the professors or, any of the individual students, but it was just sort of this like collective energy of like, the dynamic of a lot of the classes is like, that's just what you had to do to like kind of gain people's subconscious respect. So
I would like to say that it's kind of embedded within the male culture here that you kind of see women as women first and people second. So I think that's something that a lot of males struggle with. And I see that a lot, especially within like the Greek life situation, where people look at people first and then discover things about them second.
I did have a couple of friends who were other women who were definitely that model student or the token women in STEM with the, 4.0, going above and beyond on things. And if I wasn't that, it was like, well, I'm just invisible.
But definitely between my peers, I've definitely seen elements of people not taking women as seriously, or like their opinions or what we're trying to do in class and things like that. Definitely have seen a little bit of that.
Again, having to be like, a model student is an expectation for everybody, but I think it's just there's more pressure on women to feel that way than there is for men, because I know a lot of guys who were getting the same grades as me weren't like concerned or thinking about dropping out. But for me, it was too much pressure because I felt like a failure since I couldn't, put myself at that level.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to do well and succeed, and I feel like hopefully with like our generation we'll see more female like CEOs and like high exec positions, because I feel like right now like CEOs, especially like CFOs, because like the finance industry too is more male run. So hopefully when like our generation and our class comes out of leads, we'll have like more females represented in like the higher management positions.
Unfortunately, I think it's just a matter of teaching people that, a woman is just as smart as a man or anything, it's a.
Women just have to, it's not even like work harder, but I just feel like if we could all just prove them wrong, that would be great. Like if we just keep doing like killing it like we always do, like we can just prove them wrong and then it'll become normalized and it won't even be like male dominated industries, it'll just be an industry.
Because it's really, I think the people that are the most guilty of it are the people that don't necessarily realize they're doing it. So I think it's a cultural thing that we need to change. Just this culture of seeing women as women first and personality second needs to change. And that's something that not one person or one group can do. It needs to be a whole cultural movement.